So we're going to work with adding and subtracting linear expressions. And there are a couple different ways that we can do that. And I'm going to show both methods to you. So when I see an expression with parentheses, that's telling me that I have groups of those terms that are inside the parentheses. So if you notice on number 1, there's no number outside of the parentheses that I need to distribute that I can see. So that tells me that in front of each parenthesis, I have an imaginary 1 because there's no other number there. So that means it's just one group of that. So with that, I can use the distributive property to expand those terms out and to drop my parentheses. And then from there, I can combine like terms to simplify. So using that method, I want to distribute the positive 1 to each term. So 1 times negative 6, which would be, 1 times negative 6x. So that would be negative 6x. And then I have 1 times negative 8. And remember, we always want to use the sign in front. So 1 times negative 8 would be negative 8. And then I want to move to my next set. So I have 1 times 2x, which would be positive 2x. And 1 times negative 6, which would be negative 6. So now I have negative 6x minus 8 plus 2x minus 6. So now I want to combine my like terms. So I have negative 6x and 2x, and then negative 8 and negative 6. So negative 6x plus 2x would be negative 4x. And then negative 8 minus 6 would be negative 14. So I could write that as negative 4 times x minus 14. Or you could write it as negative 4x plus negative 14. Both expressions are equivalent. Okay, on number 2, I'm going to use the other method here. So another method is to line your two groups of expressions up like you would normally when you're adding. So my first expression, I have negative x minus 10, and I'm adding that to 6x plus 5. So when I use this method, I want to line my like terms up together. So I have a 6x, and then I have a plus 5. So when you solve this, you want to use just like before, I want to use the symbol in front for my sign. So I'm going to draw a line here to separate the two different terms, the two different types of terms. And then now I just add just like you would if you had 6 plus 4. So I have negative 10 plus 5, which would be negative 5. And then I have negative 1x plus 6x, which would be positive 5x. I have 1 of each term. That means I cannot simplify it any further. So my answer of my sum would be 5x minus 5. Or you could write 5x plus negative 5. So I'm going to work this one up here using the other method just to compare. So I have negative 6x minus 8. And then in my second group of terms, I had positive 2x and negative 6. So I want to add those. And I like to keep mine separate so that I don't get them confused. So negative 8 minus 6 would be negative 14. Oh, sorry. And then negative 6x plus 2x is negative 4x. So if you notice, I have negative 4x minus 14 as my answer, which is the same answer. So both methods are correct and will get you to the correct answer as long as you solve them correctly. So number 3, I have 2x minus 1 plus negative 7x minus 11. When I don't have numbers outside of my parentheses, I prefer to just line the terms up. And then if I have numbers outside of my parentheses that I need to distribute, then I prefer to use the method where I distribute and then combine like terms. And it's totally up to you which method you use, whichever you feel more comfortable with. So 2 times x minus 1, and then I'm adding negative 7x minus 11 to that. Again, I want to separate that to keep from getting confused. So I have negative 1 plus negative 11, which is negative 12. And then I have 2x plus negative 7x, which would be negative 5x. So my sum would be negative 5x minus 12. Number 4, negative 3 times x minus 4 and negative 5x plus 7. So I have, first I'm going to solve negative 4 plus positive 7, which is 3. And it's a positive 3. And then I'm going to solve negative 3x plus negative 5x, which when I'm adding two negatives, so that would be negative 3 plus negative 5, which is negative 8x. So my answer would be negative 8x plus 3. Number 5, negative 8x minus 2 plus negative 5x minus 2. So negative 2 plus negative 2 is negative 4. And negative 8x plus negative 5x would be negative 13x. So I have negative 13x minus 4. Okay, so we're going to move to subtraction. So same thing applies. I can use distributive, or I can line them up. So remember, if there's not a number outside my parentheses, that means there is an imaginary 1 there. So if I use distributive method, I would have 1 times negative 6, which is 1 times negative 6x, which is negative 6x. And then 1 times negative 8, which is negative 8. Here I have to pay close attention when I'm working with subtraction. So I have negative 1 now that I'm multiplying. So I have to make sure to keep my negative with my 1. So negative 1 times 2x would be negative 2x. And negative 1 times negative 6 would be positive 6. So now I want to find my like terms. So I have negative 6x and then minus 2x. And then minus 8 plus 6. So now I have more than one term of each color, so that tells me I can simplify that. So negative 6x minus 2x is negative 8x. And negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. So that gives me negative 8x minus 2. Okay, so now let's line it up. So I have negative 6x minus 8 and 2x minus 6, except now I'm subtracting instead of adding. So my first step would be negative 8 minus negative 6, which, you know, if you rewrite as addition, that would be negative 8 plus, and I have to use the opposite of the second number, so positive 6, which is negative 2. And then I have negative 6x minus 2x, which would give me negative 8x. So I have a term of negative 8x and a term of negative 2. So negative 8x minus 2. So again, both methods work. It's up to you on your preference. You just need to make sure if you use distributive that you carry this negative with the number you're distributing when you're working with subtraction. And then when you line it up, you just need to remember that you're subtracting instead of adding. So if you're subtracting a negative like I did here, that's the same thing as adding a positive. So number 2, I have negative x minus 10. And then I have 6x plus 5. And again, I'm subtracting these. Okay, so I have negative 10 minus positive 5. So that would give me negative 15. And then I have negative x minus 6x, which would give me negative 7x. So my simplified answer would be negative 7x minus 15. Okay, this time I'll use the distributive again, just so you can get another look at that. So I have my imaginary ones. So 1 times 2x is 2x. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Remember, when I'm working with subtraction, I have to carry the sign. So negative 1 times negative 7x would be positive 7x. And negative 1 times negative 11 would be positive 11. Okay, combine like terms. So I have 2x and 7x. And minus 1 plus 11. So 2x plus 7x minus 1 plus 11. So 2x plus 7x is 9x. And negative 1 plus 11 would be positive 10. So my simplified answer would be 9x plus 10. Number 4. So I have negative 3x minus 4 and negative 5x plus 7. And we are subtracting these. So negative 4 minus positive 7 would be negative 11. Negative 3x minus negative 5x. So negative 3x minus negative 5x. Again, remember, if I'm subtracting a negative, that means I'm just adding. So negative 3x plus 5x, which would be a positive 2x. So my simplified answer would be 2x minus 11. Okay, last one. Negative 8x minus 2 and negative 5x minus 2. So I have negative 2 minus negative 2, which if I rewrite as addition, I know I change my sign and then use the opposite. So the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. So negative 2 minus negative 2 is 0. And it doesn't matter here if you have positive or negative, because 0 means I'm not changing anything. I'm not taking or adding away. Or I'm not taking away or adding. I'm sorry. Okay, then I have negative 8x minus negative 5x. So again, that's negative 8x plus positive 5x, which would be negative 3x. So if I simplified this, I don't need to keep my 0, so my simplified answer would be negative 3x. Okay, so just to show you a different problem, we're going to say that there is a 2 and a 3 in front of these. So I'm going to actually be working out 2 times 3x plus 4. Actually, let's just make that less confusing. So I had 2 times 3x minus 4. And then I had minus 3 times x minus 6. Okay, so we're going to simplify this. I don't want you to think that's like a negative or anything there. Okay, so now I can use distributive first. So 2 times 3x would be 6x. 2 times negative 4 would be negative 8. And now I need to remember to keep my negative with me. So negative 3 times x would be negative 3x. And negative 3 times negative 6 would be positive 18. So now I want to combine my like terms to simplify. So I have 6x minus 3x minus 8 plus 18. So 6x minus 3x would simplify to 3x. And negative 8 plus 18 would simplify to positive 10. So that would be your simplified answer. So it really doesn't change your steps when you're using the distributive method for adding and subtracting linear expressions.